times. Hi. Now, how do you know if I know my light's on, but how do? Well, no, he showed me, but how do I know that's receiving my voice?
So there's a meter at the bottom
Uh-huh.
that'll bounce. So just like this power button,
Right.
there's a power button on one that's just like that on top of the camera.
Okay.
So you gotta make sure they're both on, and you should be good to go. And at the bottom, you'll see the meter bouncing as you talk in the mic.
Okay, because I was wondering if, everything's working and then that's not.
Well, just now I went over there and the receiver wasn't on, so it wasn't. So
Okay.
you gotta make sure this one's on and the one on top of the camera is on.
Okay. Technology. Welcome back there. If all you students are not here. Larry French here. Okay. I'm going to come back to this quote. Okay. But before I get there, I passed out some things that you people online haven't received, and because I haven't posted it or typed it on there. If you're here today, you have the honor of having some things. One of them is a little comment about course objectives. If you can see, there's one for the American Thought class and one for the World Thought class. Your learning objectives and then how they're assessed. Excuse me. There's, of course, a couple of them. Small group discussions. We'll have to adapt to that, but that's one of the ways to assess some of your learning skills. Okay, now there's a list of things I want to go through, and it's not going to be a full 50-minute class. We're starting late anyway, but I do want to talk about some things while you're in class and while you're taking it online. First of all, let's just go through the first assignment. In the World Thought, we're looking at Homer, the very first chapter. You people that have your books, I want you to turn to that chapter, and I want to show you something about this book that's unique, or tell you and show you at the same time. Now, Homer begins on page 17 in your textbook. Now, every one of these chapters, or individuals and scholars that we're going to be studying, has an introduction. And it kind of gives you an idea of an information about Homer in a quick, in this case, it's approximately a page. And then it goes to his Odyssey in the center of it. But I want you to be aware of that because you can find information for your notes. Well, tell me something about Homer, for example. Give me 5 characteristics about Homer other than his name, and he was an ancient Greek, approximately, I think, 850 BC. Okay, then as you go through the main part of the chapter, this is the stuff that I will break down and we will discuss, and hopefully I can put those into sentences for the people online to do. Now, if you go to the end of the chapter on page 30, usually it's Al Greer, one of the authors in this text, but not always. They summarize the whole thing. So if you do the beginning and the end, you can break down your outline and get great notes in quick. You don't have to copy or write down so much. So when you do this first assignment, take a look at it, see if you can, pick that stuff out. Okay, and then next time we meet on Friday, I'll just ask you how it went, and people online can text me or shoot something on Populi that it worked for them. But I know you're not all first-year students, so but you should be able to take fairly decent notes. It's important. And they're quick notes. That way, if you have to make a reference, you don't have to pull out your textbook every time and reread it. Although I used to do that when I was in college. I like to reread everything, even though I took perfect notes. Okay, now that's your first assignment. It's page 17 through 30 some. We'll be talking about Homer on Friday and on the following Monday, and the next couple class periods. Now, the syllabus also has some things that you're supposed to be doing, but I want you to be aware that the syllabus is not 100%. It's a guideline. We may take more days or less days than what the syllabus says. Sometimes it'll say quiz coming. I'll announce that stuff for you guys. I'm going to do, unless it's a pop quiz, then I'll verbally, ask you, and the people online, same thing. They'll have to write that down and get it sent to me by the deadline. And I will be posting a lot of deadlines for you, so you shouldn't have any issues. But once again, either text me or call me. I don't mind calls. So, okay. Shouldn't be a problem this year, but when we're in class and you're live in class, I don't like you to use your cell phones. And I did remember to silence mine. Sometimes I forget, and I'll get a call or something. But now there'll be times that I'll allow you to use your cell phone in class if you need to, or if I want you to look something up instantly or something like that. Same thing with laptops. Okay, let's go to the quote up here. Oops. Your first quote of the year, you're going to keep a separate sheet of paper for all the quotes for the semester. Almost every day I will have some quote, not always, but most every day. If you want to be super organized, you can put the date in quote 1, the date in quote 2, stuff like that if you like. But what happens is we usually discuss the quote or what it might mean, and every individual has something different on their quote. That's okay. It is a thing for you to think about. And so some of them I just picked up out of the blue. I picked them out, out of books. I picked them out of people saying something. This quote is from Bob Goff's book. At our Bible study group that I'm involved in, we're finishing up, and this is one of his quotes I thought was pretty nice. But anyway, keep your quotes on a separate sheet of paper, because every now and then I will say, okay, you need to send me, if you're online, you need to send me your quotes. There might be 7 of them, let's say, before I ask. And it'll be like a surprise. I'll say, okay, turn your quotes in if you're in class today. Send me your quotes today by, such and such time. What they are easy points. Let's say there's 7 of them, right? And of course, we've only got our first one, but there's 7 of them, and you get 7 easy points. Okay, and it'd be like on Populi, it'd be like an assignment. It'll say quotes, and you'll either have, maybe you only got 5 of them. Somehow you better be able to pick up the other 2 from somebody or call somebody. And get them. That way, I don't like to call it extra credit because it really isn't. It's an assignment we do all year. So the first quote is, who are you, where are you, and what do you want? What do you think that means to you? There's no wrong answer. Just speak loud. Hopefully they can hear you, or I'll tell them what you said. But okay, who are you? Are you I'll help you. First time. Are you a child of God? Who are you? What's your name? Audrey. Audrey, where are you? Where are you from? Things like that. Do you know who you are? Do you know where you're going? And do you know what you want? As I grew older and older, this made more sense to me. I wished I would have had a mentor in my younger life to keep pushing this type of thing to me, on me. Who am I? Well, I'm Larry French. I'm a student. I live with my parent. That's the easy part. But internally, who are you? Are you a blessed and loved child of God? Yes, you are. Because I'm saying you are. I believe in you. And so that kind of quote can mean anything. And it might mean something totally different to one person, to the other. Might even be gender difference. But and what do you want? Do you want to be famous? Do you want to, have a lot of materialistic things, or do you want to have peace? You want to have love? You want to have happiness? And it's important that you are aware of these three things at all times. Now, that's my opinion, and that's what that quote means. Okay, so when you look at a quote, or I ask you about a quote, or I say, okay, take this quote as a pop quiz, let's say. I'll record this quote. Tell me what you think it means. And then I'll instantly say, you got 100% because you can't be wrong unless you don't answer it, unless you just leave it blank. So, clear as mud? Now it's clear. Okay. You can make your own response, but it's not required. You can leave it. When I say I need your quote sheet, some people in the past have put, not on every one of them, sometimes they'll put something to help them remember. No. Basically, it's just the quotes and the numbers and making sure you have all the ones that are needed. Okay? All right, the next thing on my list, if I can find it, a copy of it anyway. Research papers and et cetera. You will have, in this class, you will have only one major research paper. Okay? Now, for me, there is a difference between a research paper and a character analysis or a informational paper. Sometimes I perhaps would give you a question. Since we're just starting with Homer, I'll use Homer as an example. Tell me in one page or more, but no more than two, all the things you know about Homer. What did Homer do? When did Homer live? List some of his vital characteristics. Take them from your textbook. Take them from your notes. People online, all of you with this online way of teaching now have access to your computer and your cell phone and information, and so you can regurgitate almost a perfect paper every time. And you can do that if you're so inclined. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, if you were in class and I told you I wanted it done today in class, in the old days, see, you wouldn't be able to use your laptop or your cell phone. You'd just have to use your notes, or I might say only your notes. You can't use your textbook. But I can't do that now with this new technique that we're going through. But I will also give you a handout. It's called the 7 Steps to Success in Writing a Paper. And it's important. On this Friday, I will have that for you. I will read it to you, and people are here. I will hand you a physical copy of it also. But in writing a major paper, a research paper, or a major character analysis paper, you have to follow a certain format for me. Like the obvious thing is to have a title. Next thing is an introduction. Okay, and then, some specific points of the paper or the person or whatever it is. Conclusion is obvious, and a bibbo. Those are the obvious ones. There's a couple other steps in there. So anyway, we'll come back to that on Friday. What can be made up and what cannot be made up? It's always been an issue from all colleges is if you do the right thing, there is a way to make up a midterm and a final. But that might mean you'd have to come to the campus. Doesn't mean you have to because it's not etched in stone yet. But, now, I deduct points if I say this assignment is due on Friday. I'm just making things up now. Due on Friday, and you don't turn it in until Monday. Okay, there's no way you can get an A. Okay, in point value. Let's say it's just worth 10 points. So 9 or 10 is an A, just straight percent. You can't get an A, but you might be able to get a B depending on the quality of what you're telling me or what you're giving me. Now, if you know ahead of time, particularly in midterms and finals, or even an announced major test, not a pop quiz, but a major test or quiz that you know ahead of time, it's your obligation to call me, text me, inform me that you're going to be in Seattle and you can't get it there, although with the new technology you can almost send anything from anywhere. So keep that in mind. And I don't like to be mean, but I do want you to have deadlines and be responsible, all of you. And does anyone have any questions that are here live about the syllabus? Okay, you shouldn't yet. So when you get a chance, look it over and see if you can follow a pattern. You can see a pattern in the syllabus. 2 days, 3 days, 2 days, quiz. There's things on there like, and this is why the syllabus is always adjustable, notes or worksheet are due. I didn't mention a worksheet. A worksheet for you guys would be like, I post on Populi 4 questions. Okay, those 4 questions are due by such and such, the night before online, midnight, that. So if our class was on, our next class, let's say, was on the 10th, which it isn't, but the 10th, that means that assignment would have to, if it was due the 10th, that means it has to be in on the 9th by midnight, or however the computer, I think that's how that works. So otherwise, it's going to be treated as a late paper. Now, it's okay to let me know that you're going to get it in late, but remember, you're going to lose some points. If you're real late, you're going to lose, you're going to end up losing more points. Now, it's better to turn something in late than not at all, because then it is recorded as a 0 on the syllabus grade that I enter, and it becomes an F. And it can't be made up. Now, it's different if you're in a hospital or you're very sick, those type of things, and we find out about it, or you let me know, or you let Bob or Daryl know downstairs that you're going to be laid up for a while. We're good about, adapting, adjusting, and adopting to that situation. Okay, real quick, people online don't have this, but I want you to take out the paper. It says, thoughts to be remembered, especially when language dies. And I think you guys that are here should have one of these. Okay, historically, as you find out as we study history, language, word of mouth, and having family, or let's say we're a family of 4 here, and we're discussing things, or I'm teaching you things, and you're teaching me things because we're on an equal status. It's not like me being dad and you being my kids, but we're a group, and we are family. But it's important to understand this. Again, we lose wisdom, we lose diversity, it says, we lose culture, and we lose knowledge if we don't have language. Do you speak more than one language? Do you? A little bit of something else? Do you? Okay. I speak 5 languages. I'm making this up. I don't. But I speak 5 languages, and in order to keep up on things, it would be important for me to, keep that heritage or culture. A lot of times I see this. I have some Native American friends over in Pelland area, and they like to keep their Native American language, and the American English language, but they don't like to lose part of that language of their tribe. Okay. Yeah, I'm assuming Hispanics would be the same way. Germans, if you're from a different country, you'd like to keep that, and you like to pass that on. Well, that's the importance of language. And when it dies, it goes away. And when language is not embraced by younger generations, this is one of the points, its demise draws near as each generation passes. So, my generation, my children, if I spoke fluid French, even though my name's French, I'm not French, but if I would like my children to remember and how to speak French, or at least some, but if I don't push that, and they don't push it on their generation of children, it goes away, and you lose a lot of your family identity, your background to history, and that's the point of losing language through time. How many people speak Arabic? How many people speak this? And once it dies, it doesn't come back. Okay, why should we care about language? Because, as I said, we lose knowledge of the past, of the history. This one I always think about every time I bring this subject up. Remember your grandparents' stories, your mom and dad's stories. I can remember a few of my grandparents' stories, not many, because I can just remember things about the stories, but not the entire story. Because of my age at the time, I can remember sitting on my great-grandfather's lap, and he would tell me things. But I could not tell you today exactly some of the things. But I can tell you something about him. What he looked like, what he smelled like, how he dressed, what he stood for. So that's a form of language communication. You know, he was a staunch World War I veteran, you know, that believed in, you know, America and the right to defend America and that kind of stuff. But I don't remember him telling me stories directly, but I can remember, you know, Grandma and him saying, you know, you don't mess with Carl when you get to the story, you know. But that became later after Carl passed, you know. Then it started making sense. So don't lose that. Okay, here's one for everybody. Now as you grow into college, some of you have already married or some of you will marry and have children in the future. And this next part comes out of a song. Teach your children well. Teach your children's children. We all have something to lose if we don't. It's a vital thing for all of us. Okay, my next item is wisdom is found in oral history, word of mouth. If we didn't have that, and we've lost some of it, in my opinion, by having to go online, but it'll come back. But my voice,
Anything is up on this.
I know trying to take notes right now. You know, could you repeat this? You know, they don't have the copy of this yet. But see, the oral interpretation discussion is really, really important. We also find it in poetry. Epic tales, that would be these. Somebody wrote down, like in your textbook, tales of, in this case, the Odyssey. This is not, when you look at this, that's not the whole, you know, Odyssey is much longer than what's in your text. This is a summary and a story of the Odyssey, about Homer's Odyssey. Creation stories, biblically. It's one of the first things I noticed as I got older about reading the Bible, and I don't read it as much as I should. I confess that to you. But reading about it, hearing about it, having groups like we called our love group. It's our study, our Bible group of adults that we meet every Thursday, and we talk about life, and we talk about everything. And you know, we talk about creation, and that. Oh, you know about that. You know, you pass things on, and it continues from these stories. You know, sometimes you get riddles. Wise sayings might come from your story. I consider that a wise saying because it means a lot to me as an individual. And the last comment on this is it gives you, wisdom is found in all these things, and wisdom is your soul given to you by God. And God has given it to you to use. You know, sometimes we don't always use it like we should, but, you know, we're held accountable. God gave us the ability to make choices. And it's really, really important that you do that and that you inform yourself. And that's one of the reasons I like to present history to you, because history is, you can learn something from it. Younger people, I found out, and even myself going through high school and even into college, I thought, and I become a history major among many other things in my teaching career, that it's very important, but I didn't believe it. I thought it was boring. And I'm imagining some people online and even you guys here might have thought that way or have thought that way as you went through high school, that, oh, this is stupid. What do I need to know this for? Why do I need to know about the French-American War, you know, or whatever? So hopefully this will help you understand. And then we're going to be specifically talking about individuals in history and how it relates to not only that time and era, but to how it can relate to us. And as we get closer to modern day era, you can see, you know, just think of things that's happening to us right now. and on the news and what's going on in the world. Okay, that's a brief introduction. Now, I know I didn't do this, but I did it on purpose. There's some new students that don't know me, but I'm Larry French, Professor Larry. I taught in public education for 32 years. I substitute full-time at a small farm community for 10 years, and that's the only place I worked as a substitute teacher. So that's 42 years, and I've been here 5. So education has been a big part of my life. In fact, other than family and God, it is my life, and that's why I enjoy doing what I'm doing now. And it's not for money or it's not for personal glory. It's hopefully to help people. I was also a coach and administrator in education. I coached football 16 years, basketball 18, and track and field 32. And then my administration was basically athletic director of schools, administration that way. So that's a brief. I do have 5 grandkids, excuse me, and my wife had 3. First marriage, I had 1, so we have 4 kids. Mixed family, but all older. I think the youngest one is 38. So, all right. Now, people online, make sure if you have questions, don't be afraid to call me. I'm old-fashioned. In the old days, I would not allow you to send your papers, for example, in the old days last year before we got shut down. If you had an assignment, you had to hand it to me. You couldn't send it to me online or fax it to me or anything like that. You had to get a hard copy and give it to me. I have to make some adapt. That leads me to the last thing for today, what I call the Big 9. See if I can remember them, because I want you to remember them too. Okay, I have them broken into 3, 3, and 3. First 3 Big 9s. So write these down. As a mentor teacher, this is something I used and I just fell into. But so label these the Big 9. The first grouping is adapt, adjust, adopt. Adapt, adjust, adopt. There's no particular order. But if you consider what they mean, I'm trying to find the hardcore version. They have a purpose to everything that you do. Yeah. Thank you. I don't know if the camera can still pick me up when I move side to side, but okay, you can see how I labeled them if you have a paper copy. The French version of adapt, adopt, and adjust. Is there any question to what? You adapt to something, you adjust to something, and maybe you adopt it. Doesn't mean you have to, but it's a good philosophy that I used when I was working with new teachers, to have that open-mindedness, not to be super liberal, but be able to adjust to things that are happening to you, that are said to you. Adjust to them. Maybe you'll, adopt the philosophy. Who knows? Okay, the biblical part of the Big 9 is faith, belief, and actions. I really think sometimes they have to almost come in this order. You got to have, you got to have faith in yourself, faith. Religiously, it can be that, you got to have it. You got to have a belief in something, and probably several things. And then, if you're going to do anything with it, you got to have action. Even the Lord says, you can have all the belief and all the faith in me, but unless you project actions and do something about it, it doesn't do you any good. And then the survival of species, we already kind of went through this one, but it's part of the Big Nine. Language, spoken language, written word, and then traditions or culture. You pass on your cultural heritage or your traditions in your family. You have written word, and you have spoken word. So that's what I call the Big Nine. Okay. Friday. I expect all of you to have started reading Homer and taking some notes. I am going to present some ideas and some information about Homer on Friday. There is nothing due yet for Friday, but to read Homer and to get into the introduction of Homer, get into the Odyssey a little bit, but do your main emphasis on Homer on the introduction and I call the conclusion of the chapter. Those two areas will be vital for discussion. The Odyssey itself we will handle probably started on Monday, but we'll just see how everything works out on Friday. Okay? Any questions? Anything for the good of the order? Or that I can tell people online? Okay? No problems with the quote, what to do with it. I promise you I will have a quote on Friday, so you'll have something to start collecting. Quote number 2. I'll go through the 7 steps to success on Friday also, and then we'll get into Homer and get started and be ready to go. Okay,